They say you can tell a lot about a person and how one treats animals. Even Gandhi was quoted as saying, "The greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated." Being passionate about animals isn't just limited to domesticated ones, such as dogs and cats. It's caring enough to make sure your bird feeders are filled or putting peanuts out for the squirrels that visit your yard. These indeed are true telltale signs of a true animal lover. When an animal lover seeks out a partner, it's no surprise we look for someone who loves animals as much as us. Usually, both people's mutual love for animals will usually overlap with other interests. And after all, one's relationship with animals is a good prediction in determining one's ability to love. So it was no surprise that Jennifer Snyder, a 27-year-old veterinary technician, fell for David Adam Rappaport, the head veterinarian where they both worked. Typically, veterinarians possess empathy, sympathy, and compassion for those who cannot speak for themselves, all characteristics we look for in a mate. But sometimes, the outside appearance of good is masked by evil, and it's usually done by someone close to us, a person we least likely would suspect. The devil who disguises themselves as charming, but secretly lives a double life, using many along the way, and plotting evil for a long time, undetected. You're listening to Departed in Pennsyltucky, Episode 3, Playing Both Sides, the case of Jennifer Snyder. Seven-year-old Jennifer Snyder was described by family and friends as intelligent, kind, loving, giving, and most of all, a very peaceful person. Jennifer's mother, Patricia, describes Jennifer as somewhat of an animal whisperer, and her main purpose in life was caring and saving animals, especially ones that had very little time left. Jennifer's passion crossed over to her career, where she went to school and became a full-time veterinary technician. Her life revolved around the veterinary practice she worked at and the animals she saved, including her dog Arthur and her horse Margie. And when she wasn't riding or taking care of Margie, she loved showing other horses and competed with them as well. So when Jennifer failed to check in with her roommate and close friend Hilary Siobhan, it was no surprise that Hilary became alarmed. Not only were Hilary and Jennifer roommates, they were close friends and co-workers, both working as veterinary technicians at Maple Hill Veterinary Hospital in Macungie, Pennsylvania. For the past few months or so, they shared the 2-bedroom apartment that was adjacent to the building that housed the animal hospital. Since the girls were close, it was not unusual for both girls to check in with each other on their days off. The date in question was Wednesday, March 16, 2011. It was Jennifer's day off, and she had left the apartment around 11 a.m. to go to lunch with her boyfriend, David Adam Rappaport. Jennifer had been looking forward to this day for quite some time. She and David were expecting their first child together, and the following day, March 18, 2011, the couple planned to attend Jennifer's first ultrasound appointment together. Then afterwards, David was going to spend the night at Jennifer and Hilary's apartment. Initially, Justine, Jennifer's sister, was to go to her appointment with her, but Jennifer said David was going to come, so there was no need for Justine to attend. To celebrate, David had planned a special surprise for Jennifer, somewhat of a rendezvous, he told her. Throughout the day, Hilary continually texted and called Jennifer to see where she was, and if she was okay. Jennifer had never responded, and that struck Hilary as odd. Jennifer was known to be extremely responsible and courteous, Hillary always got a response when Hillary reached out to Jennifer. Even Arthur, Jennifer's dog, had been acting anxious, pacing back and forth all day, waiting for her to come back. A self-described worrier, Hillary had a funny feeling something wasn't right with Jennifer and her whereabouts. The following morning, Thursday, March 17th at 8 a.m., a scheduled ultrasound appointment for Jennifer came and went. There were no calls to the office to cancel or reschedule. It was simply a no-show. Completely odd for someone like Jennifer, who had been very excited about her first pregnancy. She had dreamed about becoming a mother since she was a little girl, and missing a crucial appointment regarding this new and exciting chapter was out of character for her. That same day, about an hour after Jennifer's missed ultrasound appointment, employees at a local dental practice noticed an abandoned vehicle that was parked suspiciously in the back of their parking lot. The dental office was located at 4100 Independence Drive, located in North Whitehall Township, Pennsylvania. The employee reported the abandoned vehicle to the local police department, and within a few minutes after the call was made, local police arrived on the scene to check out the abandoned vehicle. As police walked around the car, they noticed the rear passenger window was smashed, but yet there was no shattered glass on the ground by the car. Wanting to know who the rightful owner of the car was, they ran the license plate. The vehicle came back registered to Jennifer Snyder, the same Jennifer whose roommate was concerned about her whereabouts. The same Jennifer who missed her first ultrasound appointment. Where was Jennifer Snyder? And who was responsible for her disappearance? With Jennifer's name and address in hand, police made their way over to Jennifer's apartment located on Kressler Road in Upper Macungie Township. When state troopers knocked on the door, they were greeted by Hillary, Jennifer's roommate. One of the first questions they asked Hillary was if she considered Jennifer missing, and Hillary responded, yes. In her interview with Pennsylvania state troopers, Hillary explained that the day prior, Wednesday, March 16th, 2011, was Jennifer's day off, and she was going out to lunch with her boyfriend of 3 years, David Adam Rappaport, and he was going to come back to their apartment and spend the night with her. As explained earlier, David was the head veterinarian at Maple Hills Veterinary Hospital, the same vet practice that Jennifer and Hillary both worked at as veterinary technicians. David's been described as quiet and somewhat introverted, but still very well liked by the clients of the practice. Longtime childhood friends of David described him as the kind of kid who walked the line of the law and would never do anything to embarrass his family. His classmates at Penn Veterinary School, where he graduated from in 2008, described him as quiet and serious and not wrapped up in the school's social scene. Jennifer and David were first introduced to each other when Jennifer worked with David at the veterinary practice. David was one of the attending veterinarians at the time, and Jennifer often worked side by side with David as his veterinary assistant. After working together late one night, a kiss between the two started their romance. Jennifer described David to her family as someone who had a similar passion regarding animals. He was witty and charming, and he often would leave her love notes in her lunch bag or on her phone. Sometimes he would leave daily affirmations of love that would make Jennifer smile. Initially, Jennifer was not looking for an office romance, but eventually David's wit and charm won her over. Jennifer was head over heels in love with David and gave him her all. But there was one catch. David was married. With the location of Jennifer's apartment being next to the building that housed the veterinary practice, it became convenient for Jennifer and David to carry on their affair. After spending intimate time together, David would then make the 50-minute drive back to his home that he shared with his wife Elizabeth, who at the time was a 7th grade teacher at East Norrington Middle School in Norristown, Pennsylvania. Over the course of their relationship, Jennifer's mother Patricia and sister Justine stated that David made false promises to Jennifer regarding if and when he was going to leave Elizabeth, his wife of 6 years. According to Jennifer, David had told her he was leaving Elizabeth, but her mental health issues held up the separation. As the years went on, both Patricia and Justine became increasingly concerned that the relationship wasn't as positive as Jennifer made it out to be. Both Patricia and Justine felt that David was using Jennifer, and eventually he would go back to his wife Elizabeth. But Jennifer assured them that she was mentally strong and was able to handle the relationship she had with David. Jennifer stuck it out with David because in her heart, she would never be responsible for breaking up a marriage unless there was some sort of promise from David. To prove his loyalty to Jennifer, David attended a family wedding with her back in 2009. It was a relative of Jennifer's, and according to Jennifer's family and other people who had attended the wedding, David seemed happy to be there and acted if he did not have a wife at home. But David's charade was slowly unraveling. Nearly 2 years into their relationship, Elizabeth had suspected David was having an affair. When she confronted him about it, David had assured Elizabeth that he had ended the relationship with Jennifer, but she began to have doubts. On October 14, 2009, one of Elizabeth's friends had tipped her off that they had seen David and Jennifer together at the marital home. As Elizabeth was driving into their development, she spotted David leaving their neighborhood with another woman in his minivan about 2 a.m. and followed them. Elizabeth was enraged that David had lied about ending his relationship with Jennifer. Elizabeth finally caught up with them less than a mile away in the parking lot of a Weis supermarket near Lansdale, Pennsylvania. Elizabeth got out of her car, walked up to the van, and hit David several times. She then grabbed Jennifer by the arm and both fell to the blacktop. As a result of the assault, Elizabeth was charged with harassment. Eventually, Elizabeth pled guilty later that month in district court. After that incident, David and Elizabeth spent some time apart, but eventually got back together after they both agreed to work on their 6-year marriage. Elizabeth herself was very open to friends and family about the marital difficulties. Citing reasons of knowing each other since they were children and supporting David while he attended veterinary school, the couple decided to give it another try. They even went as far as planning a party to celebrate their new beginning. But even though David had promised Elizabeth that the affair with Jennifer was over, he never stopped having an affair with her. And as a result, he began to make false promises of the future to Jennifer. He even went to go as far as to predict how many children he and Jennifer would have together. It was these promises that Jennifer took signs of David finally leaving Elizabeth to start a new life with her. Because of this, Jennifer started to share their relationship on social media and updated their relationship status on Facebook to, quote, in a relationship. Some of the people close to Jennifer, including her mother Patricia and sister Justine, were stunned to see that she would make this announcement. But Jennifer's family and friends also took this as a move that David was finally going to divorce Elizabeth and eventually end up with her. During the last year of their affair, and for reasons that are still unknown, David left his position at Maple Hills Veterinary Hospital and began working at Harleysville Veterinary Hospital, which was closer to his home in Upper Glenwood, Pennsylvania. Shortly after David's departure from Maple Hills Veterinary Hospital, Jennifer found out she was about 8 weeks pregnant. When David found out about the pregnancy, he flipped out and insisted that Jennifer should have an abortion, which she flat out refused. For about a week, he ignored Jennifer's messages. Then, about a week later, David contacted Jennifer and said he had a change of heart and was excited about the pregnancy. David told Jennifer he wanted to work it out with her and he was going to get his own place so that they could live together with the new baby. On the morning of March 16, 2011, David sent a text message to Jennifer stating they should go to lunch together and that he was planning a secret rendezvous and had a surprise for her. Afterwards, David was to spend the night at her apartment. Because of their argument about the pregnancy, Jennifer was looking forward to spending time with David and thought the surprise could have been something like an actual engagement ring. As Hillary's interview went on with the state troopers, she actually got a text message from Jennifer saying she was staying over with her mother, not David, as originally planned. The text message read, "Dr. Dumbass has to work tonight, so I'm going to my mom's. Thanks. Hi." Shortly after getting that text from Jennifer, Hillary got another text message. This text message was from David Rappaport himself asking, "Will you ask Jen to call me later? I don't think her cell is on or working." Hillary messaged back, "I will do that. When did you last talk to her?" There was nothing else from David. According to Hillary, David had texted Jennifer once he was on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, the route he took when he worked at Maple Hills Veterinary Hospital. But other than that, Hillary told state troopers during David and Jennifer's entire 3-year relationship, he had never texted Hillary before, and she felt it was odd that he texted her. After talking with Hillary, police returned to the parking lot behind the dental office to officially search Jennifer's car. Upon inspecting the interior of the car, police were shocked to discover a great amount of blood in the passenger seat, brain tissue, and a skull fragment in the vehicle. The entire car smelled like bleach, and 2 9mm bullet casings were found on the back seat. Later that day, after their interview with Hillary, authorities went to David and Elizabeth's home in Upper Glenwood, PA, and spoke to the couple. Initially, David told police he hadn't had any recent contact with Jennifer. Later on in the interview, David admitted he had a relationship with Jennifer, but didn't want his wife Elizabeth to know. During the investigation at his home, police asked for David's permission to search his car, and he consented. While a state trooper was with David at the rear of his 2005 Toyota Solara, they asked him where the gun was. David then pointed to the trunk. While David was being questioned about the contents of his car, he asked detectives to ask his wife Elizabeth to leave while David opened the trunk of the car. A detective asked Elizabeth to leave, but she told him she wanted to see what was inside the trunk. When police searched the trunk, they found a black gun case with the Glock Model 17 9mm handgun inside. At the time of the discovery of the handgun, David voluntarily handed over the 9mm bullets. Also in the car were baby wipes with smeared blood on the lid of the box. Police asked him if there was anything in his car belonging to Jennifer, and David said he didn't know. David told police he bought the wipes at Target and that he forgot to use them to clean the dashboard of his car. In David's car, police also found a backpack which contained a roll of duct tape with what appeared to be blood on it. Police immediately returned all the items to the car till they could get an actual search warrant. Detectives asked David to continue the interview at the state police barracks, but David ended the interview by asking for his lawyer. With the information from Hillary, interviews with David himself, and the evidence from Jennifer's abandoned car, authorities officially declared Jennifer missing on the evening of March 17, 2011. Immediately, local state police began to ask for the public's help in finding Jennifer and stated she may be endangered. On Friday, March 18, 2011, police used helicopters to search the area surrounding Jennifer's car. At 9:45 a.m., a trooper in the helicopter spotted a large black object on the ground. The object was located in a wooded ravine in the Trexler Nature Preserve in North Whitehall Township, Pennsylvania. It turned out it was Jennifer's body. Her body was wrapped in a Philadelphia Eagles fleece blanket soaked in bleach. She was then wrapped in black garbage bags secured with duct tape. Near her body was shattered glass, consistent with her rear passenger's car window being shattered. Also found on the ground was 1 9mm bullet casing. On Saturday, March 20th, 2011, just one day after finding Jennifer's body, an autopsy was performed on Jennifer. Jennifer's autopsy showed she died of multiple gunshot wounds, and her death was ruled a homicide. Jennifer had been shot 3 times. 2 wounds showed that the gun was put directly in her mouth when the trigger was pulled. The 3rd wound showed she was shot in the middle of her back, with the bullet exiting through her abdomen. Sadly, the autopsy showed she was 2 months pregnant with a boy. Later that afternoon, after Jennifer's autopsy was complete, police obtained a search warrant on David's car. Inside his car, they found Jennifer's cell phone underneath the passenger seat, as well as a box of black garbage bags consistent with what was wrapped around her body. Ballistic tests showed that the 9mm handgun and bullets recovered from David's car proved to be the murder weapon and bullets used to kill Jennifer. When police reviewed video surveillance tapes, they learned Jennifer's vehicle was parked behind the dental office at 1:19 p.m. on Wednesday, and they saw a man fitting David's description get out of the driver's side of the car. The man then walked to a nearby dumpster and placed some items inside before running from the area. When police went to the dumpster in person, they found an empty bottle of bleach with blood on it, a bleach-soaked towel, and a plastic bag with documents from Jennifer's OBGYN. With the help of David's credit card records and surveillance video from Target that was located in North Wales, Pennsylvania, police said that on Wednesday, March 16, 2011, the morning of Jennifer's murder, David had visited Target and purchased bleach, baby wipes, duct tape, and a towel. On Tuesday, March 22, 2011, 6 days after cowardly murdering Jennifer and her unborn son, David was arrested outside his parents' idyllic home located in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. He was held without bail and was charged with the homicide of Jennifer Snyder and the homicide of her unborn son. Former colleagues and classmates of David's were shocked to learn of his involvement in the brutal murder of Jennifer. Neighbors in the Upper Gwenwood neighborhood where he and Elizabeth resided said David was seen walking the couple's beagles throughout the neighborhood, but rarely said more than hello. Fellow colleagues who worked with David described him as very nice and easy to work with. At the end of the day, he seemed like an obedient husband who went home to his wife Elizabeth each day. Not at any time did anyone get a bad vibe from him. David was also serious about his roots in Judaism, and he was remembered as a quiet, sweet guy by other people at his synagogue. On a trip to Israel, members of his synagogue remember the trip as being extremely emotional, and David showed concern about everyone's well-being on the trip. On December 8, 2011, after months of delays and 6 months after Elizabeth Rappaport filed for divorce, David Rappaport pled guilty to 2 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of Jennifer and their unborn son. In addition to pleading guilty, David also agreed to waive all of his appeal rights. His guilty plea allowed him to avoid the death penalty. His attorney stated that the guilty plea was in David's best interest after months of research and consultation with various experts on the case. In their case against David, prosecutors claimed that David was livid, that Jennifer was pregnant with his child, and immediately began to plot Jennifer's murder at least a month before the event actually took place. A month prior, David had purchased a brand new Glock 9mm handgun. The morning of Lisa's murder, David went to a shooting range near his home and practiced with his new Glock 9mm pistol he purchased earlier that month. He also bought bleach and a towel and baby wipes at a local Target store. He then texted Jennifer and told her he wanted to spend the day with her and had a special surprise for her. After they had lunch, David drove Jennifer in her car to Trexler Game Preserve, a county-owned park that is home to hikers, mountain bikers, hunters, and fishermen. Given the day of the week, time of the day, and time of the year, the road and area that the game preserve is on is less traveled, which made it the perfect place for David to murder Jennifer and dump her body in a ravine, all the while going unnoticed. Unknown to prosecutors and everyone else is how David was able to put a pistol in Jennifer's mouth and succeeded in shooting her twice in the mouth. If that wasn't enough, he shot her a 3rd time through the middle of her back. The autopsy showed that Jennifer was 8 to 12 weeks pregnant with a boy she planned on naming Ethan. DNA testing proved that David was the father of Jennifer's unborn son. After David was done killing Jennifer, He removed her body from her car, wrapped her body in a bleach-soaked Philadelphia Eagles fleece blanket, and dumped her body along Game Preserve Road in North Whitehall Township, Pennsylvania. Police said David then drove to the Independence Drive location and left Jennifer's car parked in the rear of the dental office parking lot. He then tossed a bottle of bleach and her OB/GYN paperwork in a dumpster located in the rear of the building near her car in the same parking lot. He then made the 50-minute trip back to his marital home that he shared with his wife Elizabeth in Upper Glenwood, Pennsylvania, and carried on as normal. When police went to his home to question him about Jennifer and her whereabouts, he initially denied having any contact with her. But when he was confronted with what detectives knew from talking with Jennifer's roommate Hillary, he admitted he denied having contact with her because he was hiding the affair from his wife, Elizabeth. When Patricia, Jennifer's mother, was able to address David in court, she outed him as a spineless human and a murderer who had destroyed her life. She ended her statement by letting the court and judge know that her wounds may never heal. Jennifer's godmother, Paula Siller, called David a coward, and Hillary, Jennifer's former roommate, said she never believed David's lies and she hated how Jennifer led him into her life. Before his sentencing, David apologized to Jennifer's family as well as his wife. David said he would regret killing Jennifer for the rest of his life. David then told the court he wasn't the cold-hearted, emotionless creep who committed such an act of madness. Describing himself as hardworking, compassionate, and smart, he told the court he was willing to pay for his crime. Unimpressed with David's words, the judge stated that David met every definition of malice and said his actions were cruel and inhumane. He was sentenced to 2 terms of life in prison, 1 life sentence for Jennifer and 1 life sentence for their unborn son. Both sentences are with no chance of parole. Although Jennifer's family were relieved that David took responsibility and accountability for the death of Jennifer and her unborn son, Jennifer's family and friends were still visibly shaken with anger and pain at David's sentencing. If one were to take a good, hard look at David Rappaport's life, we would say he appeared he wanted to make his family happy by relying heavily on his faith, exceeding the expectations of him by being a successful veterinarian and marrying a certain person such as Elizabeth. Having an unsuccessful marriage that resulted in divorce would have been a big disappointment to his family. So David took the cowardly way out. He played both his wife Elizabeth and Jennifer. David took advantage of Jennifer's openness and vulnerability, and most of all, he took advantage of her open heart and willingness to love. Jennifer's apartment adjacent to the veterinary practice was the cherry on top for David. He was able to conveniently have an illicit affair without having any immediate suspicion from his wife Elizabeth. If it wasn't Jennifer, it would be someone else. Jennifer was simply a pawn in David Rappaport's evil game. In December 2012, David Rappaport filed a post-conviction relief appeal on his own, and a hearing was held July 30th, 2013, after which Lehigh County Judge Steinberg denied David's request to appeal his conviction. David then appealed that decision to the state superior court, arguing he did not give a verbal on-the-record waiver of his appeal rights. In an opinion written by Judge Steinberg, he stated that David Rappaport's only claim to appeal his case was that he did not give the verbal waiver. David Rappaport completed the written form waiving his rights and was asked on the record by Judge Steinberg if he reviewed the form, understood it, and if he had any questions about it. According to the court transcript, David Rappaport said he reviewed the waiver, understood it, and did not have any questions about it. David Rappaport said he reviewed the waiver, understood it, and did not have any questions about it. The court agreed with Judge Steinberg's opinion and denied David Rappaport's appeal. The court felt throughout the proceedings it was evident to David that he would be spending the rest of his life in jail without further review by any court. David Rappaport is currently serving his 2 life sentences at Mahanoy State Prison in Schuylkill County, Pennsylvania. This concludes this week's episode, and thank you so much for tuning in and listening. And remember to tune in next week for more true crime talk without the Valley Girl squawk.